Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why the Patriots need to be very concerned about the growing rift between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why. Aaron Rodgers has peaked. It's okay, he's peaked. Speak for yourself, starts right now. Boy, Greg Jennings doesn't want to hear this.
Oh, my God. Tom Brady can play till he's 50, but Aaron Rodgers is peaked at age
LeBron's
30.
peaked. He's still good.
All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and Colin's co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy. Let's start in New England, where the Boston Globe is reporting that Bill Belichick has restricted team access for Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's longtime fitness guru, business partner, and close friend. According to the Globe, quote, Guerrero is now banned from boarding Patriots jets. His sideline access has been revoked, and he no longer is permitted to treat players other than Tom Brady in his exclusive office at Gillette Stadium. Brady was asked about the report and had nothing but nice things to say about his friend.
No, I don't have any comment on that. Other than to say Alex has been, well documented, a huge part of what I do, and I'm so fortunate to have him not only as a friend, but everything that we've been able to do together.
How would you describe just the dynamic with you and Tom in terms of the working relationship? Has anything changed this year?
Well, every year is different.
Couldn't even tell what
All
he
right,
said.
that was Cowherd, the guy that made Tom Brady great again, is now banned from jets. Is there a growing rift? Is there a problem? Does Brady have too much power with the Patriots?
No, I think Brady's become too much Tony Robbins. About 2 years ago, he took kind of a weird turn where it's, quinoa underwear, kale pajamas, magic mattresses, very much self-help. And I think he's overthinking the room. I think he's got a great coach, a weak division, and Tom's a uniquely driven person. It's a little Hollywood for me, a little Tony Robbins for me. And I think he brought in a guru or a life coach like your actors do. And then the life coach, the guru, suddenly thinks, I'm pretty brilliant here. And Belichick went, time out. You're a trainer. And Tom's taken a very unique turn last couple of years. It's a very self-help. That's his next brand. And I think Brady and Belichick have never been that close. I don't think they've ever been that close. I really don't.
Too much power is a great question, and I really don't know how to answer this because he's been so successful. Why wouldn't you give him that power? But there does reach a point where, too much power corrupts or too much power becomes a problem, particularly for a player. So I look at this and see Belichick, and I guess clearly with the help of Bob Kraft, they are drawing a bit of a line in the sand, and there's some pushback to Tom Brady. But I just wonder how much of this is connected to Garoppolo and his success. And
I've got a theory after everybody talks about that. I have we think the rift is between Belichick and Brady. I'll let everybody go. I think Belichick and Kraft, I think there's a little bitterness there too. Because he wouldn't let him trade Tom, took it off the table.
You're giving it away. Go ahead, Christine.
I think that you're onto something there too. But Alex Guerrero is not new to Tom Brady, so it's not like this is just some new thing where all of a sudden he's into kale and Under Armour special pajamas. This is something that's been part of his lifestyle for a while, and now we've seen the Tom Brady book come out, so I think maybe it's heightened a bit. But you're one of the biggest proponents of this. When you're a star, you get different rules. And if Tom Brady is 40 and he's leading the league in passing yards, why do we have a problem with what his trainer's doing? He's 40 years old and still competing at such a high level. So the way I look at it is if Tom Brady feels like he needs Alex Guerrero, then the Patriots also need Alex Guerrero. And I understand taking away his rights to the plane and the sideline, that's a little excessive, but let him help Tom Brady because he's not hurting the team.
You can make that argument.
Yeah, I don't think he has too much power. I think he has a greater privilege than most players on the Patriots. But when you look at the dynamic there, even when you look at the response when he was asked about the question, I have no comment on that. I'm just going to speak to what I can comment on because Bill Belichick, he takes on these players as if, look, you're me. You see how I act in the media. You see how I respond to the media. If they have a question, I answer it. I don't need you guys to answer something that's outside of your sphere of what needs to be taking place. And so when you ask the question of does he have too much power, absolutely not. They run a tight ship. This is not, I think the privileges that he was afforded were something that was different than what we've ever seen Belichick. But to your point, Robert Kraft and Tom Brady's relationship is great.
Yes.
That's the great relationship. I mean, they're neighbors. When you look at the relationship with Belichick and Tom Brady and everybody else, it's always been business, strictly business. I'm going to treat you just like I treat everybody else.
Yes, this goes back to something I just want to throw out there. You're right. So Robert Kraft and Brady are tight. We know that. That's been documented. And Kraft told Belichick for the only time, he's off the table. Don't you think it's strange that once that became Belichick's reality, I can't trade Tommy, he gave Garoppolo away and he gave Brissett away, meaning I'm leaving here and you're not going to have a quarterback for 10 years. It makes me think that the Brady-Belichick thing isn't the issue, that Belichick's like, I have given you the greatest franchise in the NFL history. There's never been a dynasty like this. You mess with my personnel? He gave Brissett away. They got nothing for him. Garoppolo,
pick. Yeah.
But it also doesn't make sense because now they don't have Brissett or Garoppolo, and now they're almost squeezing Tom out and upsetting him. And why would you want your starting quarterback to suffer? And taking away his trainer would make him suffer.
Because you're leaving sooner than people think.
Belichick, I think you're onto something. And when we really bear down and look into this, just Robert Kraft is more of a contemporary of Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen than he is of Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Just think about the amass of wealth that Bündchen and Brady have.
Yes.
That's more Kraft-like than Belichick.
He's also social like them.
Yes. And so, I mean, Belichick is a football guy, that he eats, sleeps, and drinks football. Brady, has a life beyond football, obviously with Gisele. And so this comes down to credit, which, again, these guys are all human beings. And human beings are flawed, and they all want credit. And maybe, Brady and the trainer feel like, no, we're doing this. Belichick rightfully believes, no, I'm doing this.
Right. And Robert Kraft has taken a side in it.
Yeah. Momentarily.
Brady. Yes.
Momentarily. But right now, he may be backpedaling a little bit, and that's why, it's going, hold on. If this is what Bill wants, Guerrero, and we're going to draw a line in the sand here, maybe Kraft is starting to lean the other direction a little bit.
I don't think so. I think it's, number one, it's too late because Belichick has always been afforded to make personnel decisions based on how he views the team, whether it's in his view of what he's doing, his game plan and his vision. And when you take that away, when you say, nope, this is the one player you can't touch, that's never happened. Even when Brady took over for Drew Bledsoe, we all thought Bledsoe was going to come back. Nope, this is my decision. I'm going to stick with him. It works. Every star, Lawyer Malloy, Willie McGinnis, Ty Law,
all of them.
All these guys, they're gone. Richard Seymour. Yeah. Richard Seymour.
Hurt the team.
Are you kidding me? Richard Seymour gone, Oakland? It didn't matter. These were personnel moves that Belichick felt like, you know what? They're getting large. They're great players, but we can win without them.
And Kraft said, I'm stepping in for the first time.
For this one time.
Can't move Tom. I'm telling you guys, you and I agree with this, and we've talked about this. Garoppolo is so obviously great. Albert Breer told me on the show today, he goes, nobody in New England is shocked by Garoppolo. They knew he was great. And they gave him away for what they got him for? Come on now.
Made no sense.
That made no sense.
Everything that Belichick had done up to this point he would have cut bait with Tom Brady. Look, and I'm sure he's sitting there saying, well, hold on, man. The 49ers did it to Joe Montana. And you telling me I can't do this to Tom Brady? The Packers had to do it with Brett Favre.
Everybody's done it.
The Colts had to do it with Peyton Manning. I can't do it with Tom. It's no disrespect to Tom Brady.
Not at all.
It's about you're 40. We got your successor here who could be the guy for the next 10, 15 years.
It's the nature of the business.
A different side of Bill Belichick, though, that we haven't seen, this kind of mischievous, almost petty and trying to prove sinister. Yeah, because he's usually very strictly business, but he's clearly working some angles.
I really do. We were talking about this as we were doing the show this morning. It's just, you just look, Bill has been as brilliant as anybody in my life. Capologist, personnel. Man, he gave 2 quarterbacks away. He gave them away. Brissett went to Indy for a receiver who was a bust there.
Let me defend Brady and Kraft in this regard, though. Because hasn't Brady always accepted a little less money?
Yes.
What he should.
Yes.
And so Brady could sit there, hey, man, y'all owe me this. I don't want to leave New England. I want to finish my career here. I'm still playing at a high level. And I could see Kraft bowing to the, hey, Bill, the guys cut us all these breaks financially. All these other examples you're talking about, they haven't made the financial sacrifices that Tom has. So I could see where Kraft would bow to that.
Yeah, he's asking for his trainer. And the interesting thing is, too, it's not like he tried to keep his trainer to himself. He recommended the guy to many of his teammates who wound up using him and doing well with him.
I mean, he was introduced to him by Willie McGinnis.
Welcome back, Greg Jennings, joined by our friend, Super Bowl champ Seth Joyner. Just flew in from Philly, baby. Let's move to Green Bay, where the Packers place Aaron Rodgers back on the injured reserve after their playoff hopes dashed by Atlanta's Monday night win. Not real impressive. Rodgers now done for the season. At 34, is headed for another offseason of wondering if Green Bay will actually continue wasting his prime. Yeah, but it's actually possible that might have already passed, with huge drop-offs in his numbers over the last 3 years. I love this. Whitlock, Aaron already peaked?
Those numbers are an indictment of Ted Thompson and the Packers organization. They're not an indictment of Aaron Rodgers. They're not even an indication that his play has declined. They got no Pro Bowlers this year. No Pro Bowlers playing with Aaron Rodgers this year. There's no accountability in Green Bay because they don't have an owner. There's no one at the heart of that organization, at the very top, who's living and dying with every game. Ted Thompson's headed towards a contract extension. Packers fans are going to be irate. And again, coming off a season where you don't make the playoffs and your talent gets exposed this way, how does Ted Thompson get a contract extension? Because they don't have an owner.
Yeah, I think he's peaked, but I think that's okay. LeBron's peaked, and Kevin Durant's peaked, and Steph Curry's peaked. And yes, this is great. He is great. And I think everybody hits a peak, and he's hit it. To your point, it's incredible. I was reading a stat today. The Packers have allowed 39 scores in 39 red zone trips. That's not happened since the 80s. To your point, they don't have the talent, but they're asking him as he gets older to carry more and more of the franchise. And listen, he's had 2 surgeries. He's human. He's 34. He's never been this big, powerful body. He's 6'2". He's about 220. He's not a massive Cam athlete. He's not huge. He's not a burner like Carson Wentz. Yeah, I think he's peaked, and I think his peak is 99% of the people who have ever played this position. It's their dream to have a year like this.
He has peaked. He has peaked. But in my saying he has peaked, to your point, it is okay because if you're able to sustain your peak,
that's the key.
That's the key. You look at Tom Brady, he's peaked. He peaked a long time ago, but his sustainability is still there.
Yes.
His ability to still do what he did when we thought he was at his height, he still is able to do that. And my issue is more to your point, Jason. Ted Thompson in the personnel, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Specifically on the defensive side of the ball, because when you look at Tom Brady, look at the way the New England Patriots started defensively this year. They were at the bottom of the league in almost every category. Tom Brady didn't have to worry and concern himself about that. Why? Because their personnel handled it. Bill Belichick, Patricia, they took care of what they knew they needed to take care of because they know Tom is going to do what he does. Aaron is going to do what he does. You have to be able to build around him to take advantage of his greatness. Yes, has he peaked? Of course, which is perfectly fine because I'll take him peaking and being able to sustain that. Yes, has his numbers teetered a little bit? Of course. Injury, players no Pro Bowlers. I mean, the lack of personnel around him has not been great, specifically on the defensive side of the ball.
Y'all two almost got me. I almost agree with you that, you know what, yeah, he's peaking. No, listen, Aaron Rodgers is still a bad man.
Without question.
Okay? So now, you can only peak if everything around you is good and you reach a certain level, now you level off. Okay, he's had wide receivers injured, offensive linemen injured, no running game, no consistent running game forever. And on the defensive side of the ball, they've been garbage for a long time. The Green Bay Packers have asked Aaron Rodgers to carry all phases of this football team for how many years?
More every year.
I mean, and it's ridiculous because you know what? If you put a good defense on the field, they haven't been good since Charles Woodson was there. How long has that been? A long time.
Yep.
Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is, how long can you ask this guy to be Houdini? He's been Houdini forever. Forever. I mean, he's always moving in the pocket and always making some kind of throw that makes us, you know, lose our breath and whatnot. Why not surround this guy with the offensive line and a running game that works? And they've struck out. You know, Jason, you're right. It is Ted Thompson because you can't take Eddie Lacy and I forget all of these guys, all of these running backs, and you still keep missing. You know, you get a guy that gives you a couple of good games, and all of a sudden he disappears. And I mean disappears.
I hadn't been willing to go there till today until this discussion, but it's almost like Green Bay's a high-class Cincinnati Bengals. In terms of Carson Palmer got so frustrated, he quit. Either move me or I'm quit.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers should maybe consider that.
Thank you.
He should consider that. And I hadn't, until today, I hadn't thought that, but when I think about it, it's like Green Bay's like a high-class version of Cincinnati. They've gotten away with doing things on the cheap because they had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers fall into their lap. But it may be time for him to move on and to draw a line in the sand. I mean, could you imagine if he were in Denver?
Listen, I've been saying this for years. Marginal NBA players hold cities hostage. Andrew Luck raced to sign a contract. Aaron should be like, I want out. Force their hand. Franchise me.
The most stunning thing to me, too, is how long Don Capers has been able to hold his job. Because, you listen.
No accountability.
That's the problem. Even more so with whatever's going on the offensive side of the ball. They've got talent on the offensive side of the ball. They just can't stay healthy enough over there to be as productive as they need to. But the glaring weak link of this football team is the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I watched them lose in the playoffs last year, and I'm like, I think Don Capers is done after this year, and they bring him back again.
To your point, you know, there's this sense that, you know, it's owned by the community. There is nothing wrong with having a maverick, sometimes an egomaniac. Say what you want about Jerry Jones, but Jerry is a dice roller. He's a risk taker. Green Bay, I mean, Ted Thompson, Dom Capers, defensive personnel. It's really below league average.
Yeah, and when you look at the teams that they have in their division, specifically the Minnesota Vikings, who built their team, their organization, defense first, they've flown right past them now.
Think about this. Minnesota's on their third quarterback. What if Minnesota would have landed Carson Wentz? That division's over for 7 years. It's over.
All right, to the team Seattle plays this week, the Cowboys, who just got Ezekiel Elliott back from his 6-game suspension. Dallas was able to stay in the hunt with Zeke gone and now have their best player back in time for a playoff push. Jason Garrett talked about having Zeke back today.
It looks like he's in good shape, seems mentally into it, engaged, and just fell right back in with his teammates and meetings and walkthrough. And today will be his first time practicing with the team. We anticipate him just going through a normal practice. And seemed like he went through that process the right way. And again, all that stuff's behind us. Focused on today, having a good practice with him and the rest of our team.
All right, we got to be tight here, but do you expect a more mature Zeke Elliott moving forward?
No. I mean, I think your DNA is your DNA, your personality is your personality. He went, he's in shape, he's ready to go. But I don't think, like, immature kids become mature, you know, from 18 to 19 or 19 to 20. He's a super talented guy. I think Dak's mature. Ty Smith, Sean Lee, they're guys. But, I mean, like Des Bryant, is kind of still Des Bryant.
Oh, he's more mature, though, than he was early in his career.
Who?
Des Bryant.
Yeah.
He's more.
I mean, Jeff George, your buddy. Did he get more mature?
Where does that come from?
Well, we're
talking about Zeke Elliott.
What
does Jeff George have to do with
this?
this?
Talking about maturity and great players. I mean, does an immature 19-year-old become a mature 20-year-old?
Zeke, you can't get more immature than Zeke has been, so he will be more mature. I'm going to put an optimistic look on this. I think Zeke's coming back in shape. I think he's going to try. I think he's going to try to take a Kobe Bryant approach. When Kobe had his problems, it became just about basketball and how dominant I can be in basketball. I think that's how Zeke cleans up.
I'll be quick. I'll say yes. You can't lose 6 games and potentially lose the thing that you've trained your entire life for that means the most to you, and on top of that, 6 game checks, okay? And some kind of maturity doesn't set in. I think he's going to be a completely different player, completely different person.
I agree with you for those very reasons, and I'll add you this. When you are tagged and labeled with being accused of something that, you know, I've done a lot of things, but this one I did not do. The justice system, it has not told us whether or not this is who he is or this is not who he is. He has to tell us that. He has to prove that with his level of maturity off the field. We know he's a great player, but how you show who you are to us now is what you do off the field. I think that is what is in the back of his mind, making sure that he leaves a positive taste in everyone's mind and in everyone's mouth when they talk about it.
I got outvoted 3-1 there.
Yeah, I do. I think there are these
People
moments.
change, Colin.
There are moments in people's lives where they have to go sit down and evaluate themselves. And he's had that moment.
What was that big moment for you?
Well, you know
I can't even talk about her.
The other thing, though, the other thing is with him being gone, not only do the Dallas Cowboys, but now he sees that he's the lead dog on this team. So when those 2 contracts, his and Dak's contract comes up, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be real interesting because he is the lead dog. You can talk about a quarterback-driven league all you want. I wish we could get into that, okay? But this football team, like I said this summer, is driven by Ezekiel Elliott. If he's there, they're going to be successful. If he ain't there, they ain't going to have no success.
Welcome back. Christine Leahy is back, and we're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to LeVar Ball, who just announced that he will start a new league for high school graduates who want to play professional basketball without having to go through the NCAA. The league doesn't have any players or venues yet, but it does have a huge logo, an image of Lonzo Ball dunking, because as LeVar explained, we don't need a logo of a guy dribbling. Nobody does that anymore. Cowherd, is this idea totally absurd or kind of smart?
Vince McMahon tried to take on the NFL. It didn't work. Donald Trump tried to take on the NFL. It didn't work. So LeVar Ball, who doesn't have any money, is going to try to take on the NCAA. He has no arenas. What parent's going to go, listen, I can send my kid to Tom Izzo or LeVar Ball? Mike Krzyzewski?
There are parents who will do it.
You'd be surprised. Let me push back a little bit also. The NFL's brand is great. The NCAA's brand is awful. People are out on NCAA and amateur.
Would you send your kid to Big Baller?
No. No, we talking about the idea, not who's going to execute the idea.
Yeah, but the idea doesn't make any sense if he's spearheading
I would agree. But again, is the idea absurd? No. The person that's trying to execute it is absurd. If Kobe Bryant wanted to try to start something like this.
Okay, that's different.
Or, you know, LeBron James or the NFL.
But by the way, even if Kobe did, like Derek Jeter owning the Marlins, everybody's like, Derek Jeter's not rich in terms of a baseball owner. He's rich in terms of people or athletes. Like, if Kobe did it, if said Kobe, I'm going to take the NCAA on, even Kobe would have to go to a bank, a hedge fund. LeVar Ball, you're going to walk into a hedge fund and say, hey, it's just me.
He can't even get the door in. But Kobe could. Kobe could. This is,
you like the idea. You don't like the person now.
Absolutely.
But you like the idea.
The idea of it, there's some merit to it. I don't think this is there's some merit to it.
The basic concept of it, I kind of can understand and see why some people would be attracted to it, but this is not the guy that you have run this kind of program. And I said the same thing, where's this guy getting his money, or is he just delusional that he thinks that this could work? And I've got to think he's got some celebrity backers somehow giving him money. behind
celebrities
the scenes.
have that kind of money?
I don't know. It's confusing to me
It's
how
like,
he thinks he has
to
this
me,
money.
it's almost like Colin Kaepernick saying, I want in on the ownership group. They have no concept of wealth. And again, and the reason I can say that is because I used to be young, and I can remember when I was 27, and I think the Kansas City Star paid me $120,000. And I thought, like, my God, I'm right there with Donald Trump. Because again, I came from nothing. And so 120,000 at 27 felt like the greatest thing. And LeVar, his T-shirt company, is putting a little money in his pocket and he feels rich.
Oh, I don't know if it's coming out of Lonzo's paychecks or whatever he's making from Big Baller Brand, but buying your teenagers Lamborghinis at that age too?
I will say this. He's done a good job of challenging conventional wisdom, right? With the sneaker industry. I'm going to go up against Under Armour, Nike, Adidas. Now he's challenging the NCAA. And you guys made a good point. There's a kernel of an idea here, right? The NCAA, we agree, is corrupt. You've been on a rant for years, and I'm right there with you. They make billions of dollars in TV money, and the athletes see none of it, okay? So there are a large segment of people who could be on board with this idea. But like I said, I mean, Christine, I totally agree with you. He's not the guy for the job. He is the worst front man you can imagine, from ego to his mouthiness to some of the comments he's made about women and other, like he's not the guy you want. But there is an idea here. And I will say this, like I started a blog back in the day. You guys know that. And there was an idea at the beginning, and I would tell people, I'm starting a blog. And my wife's parents looked at me like, what is that? I don't understand it. But there was an idea for the blog, and it grew and it matured. And I think this league, with the right people and the right backing, could have something. There could be something here.
You know, what's interesting is he's not necessarily taken on the NCAA. To your point, he's taken on the NBA because I think the NBA wants to do this.
The NBDL, the G League.
Oh, yeah, they're not afraid of him.
No, they're not afraid. What I'm saying is his idea is something I think Adam Silver talks about all the time, which is, why are we messing around with college? Why don't we just create a European system for 16-year-olds? Yeah. I think his idea is something years ago the NBA's thought about.
I do think it's something they thought about, and particularly it works for the NBA because, again, their kids are only staying 1 year in college. But there are advantages to the NCAA system.
Yes.
It's free. The kids do come with a bit of a brand to the NBA.
Yeah.
LaVar's league, what he's talking about, I don't know if it would draw much media attention other than people mocking it. And so, again, there's a kernel of an idea here that someone could potentially capitalize on it. But this is clearly just coming out. LaVar is frustrated because he jacked up both his two youngest sons' basketball careers.
And they've been embarrassed.
That is what I really just don't understand, is that he gets this pass and people think he's this great father because he got his 3 kids scholarships, but then he didn't actually execute really with the scholarships. So what are we standing on now? And when you go into business with someone, and you know probably when you started your blog, you go in with people that you trust. You can't trust this man. And then also he's a walking liability. He will say something controversial at any minute. And it also really bothers me that he's looking for 80-plus players to fill this team, and that there are 80-plus young people who are going to be influenced by this role model who treats women terribly and actively promotes a shirt that says "Stay in your lane."
Well,
that's
just
scary.
keep in mind, they'll be playing. Jerry Richardson owned, the Carolina Panthers. Donald Sterling owned the L.A. Clippers.
Yeah.
LeVar Ball, shady character, but they're shady characters.
I know, but if
Rick
we know
Pitino,
they're shady, if we know they're shady, let's not keep elevating them.
To Milwaukee, where LeBron had another huge night, put up 39, lost to Milwaukee. He's about to turn 33. Seems older than that. He's been around forever. But is having one of his best years of his career. No argument there. Putting up a ton into this regular season. So far, he hasn't taken a single game off. He's played the most minutes of anybody in the league. Whitlock, a lot of people think he knows he's not going to win the finals, so he wants to win the MVP. Do you think that workload this year could haunt him?
Not at all. I love this LeBron. Look, they took the excuses away about the back-to-backs. They adjusted the schedule. I think LeBron has heard from people like me. Michael Jordan put on a show every night. He played 80-plus games, I think 9, 10 times in his career. He played all 82 several times during his career. LeBron James is taking ownership of lunch pail guy, put the work in. I love it. I think this is actually going to pay off for him in the playoffs. It didn't hurt Jordan playing all them games.
You know what I think LeBron's also thought about, too, is if you remember the playoffs last year, it was like sweep, 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 sweep. And I think LeBron's like, now I got Isaiah Thomas, I got Jay Crowder, Boston, I'll probably have to play 6 games. I think in hindsight, LeBron finished last year and thought, I can play the regular season because I'm sweeping all these playoff series. And the East may be slightly better than last year, but there's no reason to sit. It's not like in the Jordan era when the Pistons was a long series and the Celtics was a long series. LeBron knows now. Why not play now, help your reputation and your brand? We're going to sweep Washington, Toronto, and Milwaukee anyway. Do you think that's part of it?
I think it's entirely that he knows he doesn't have a shot at winning the championship unless something terrible goes wrong with the Warriors. And so he's saying, you know what, I'm going to play all these minutes. I'm going to get my stats way up. And I think he also looks around at his competition for MVP and sees that they're now surrounded by other superstars. Like Harden has Chris Paul now. You know, so the numbers aren't going to be as high. This is his prime opportunity to get that 5th MVP and tie Michael Jordan.
Wait a minute. You guys love talking about Father Time. It's going to catch up with every athlete. But you refuse to say Father Time's going to catch up with LeBron James? 33 years old. He's played the 2nd most playoff minutes in NBA history. Playoff minutes. He's 33. I mean, this is crazy. We're talking about a postseason where he could face Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid in the 1st round. No back-to-backs. Those are young superstars. 2nd round, Giannis. I know you've been bashing him on the show. Listen, Giannis is similar to LeBron in body-wise. I mean, the guy's massive. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, Brad Stevens and the Celtics, there's not going to be any sweeps this year. Not in the postseason. LeBron, too many minutes. Far too many.
I didn't hear you mention my Pacers.
Well, we'll see. It's early for the Pacers.
No, listen. Christy, I completely I don't get that negative spin in terms of he's just doing this to win the MVP. Again, I think LeBron
You think he genuinely wants to play all these minutes?
Yeah.
Why the sudden change?
Because LeBron's an NBA historian, and I think there were people out there who was like, hey, man, the great players played, and I went through the stats, and I think I wrote about it at some point. You go look at the all-time greats, they took on the burden of playing 82 games, a lot of seasons.
But the pace and the possessions were far different. LeBron's in the fastest league.
I think that he's going to change everything about who he is for that. I think it's more that he sees, okay, I can tie Michael Jordan with the number of MVPs that I have.
I think that could be part of it.
Put on a show because he's never been that way. He's never felt like he has to show up every single game.
Well, no, that's not true. He led the NBA in minutes last year. Remember,
He's not showing up every game.
Well, but Michael Jordan, believe me,
no,
he took a year and a half.
But I was at Jordan games. He'd take a 2nd quarter off and be unbelievable in the 4th. This idea that Michael played hard for every minute of every game.
I'm not
if that's
saying
true,
that.
then why did his team in the '95 team lose to Toronto twice? Expansion Toronto. Oh, I mean, if Jordan's great. Jordan against the Dogs.
The Jordan mythology is overboard.
Ridiculous.
You know, he shot 48% when he was 33. LeBron's shooting 58% this year. I mean, I don't want to go off on Michael Jordan. I know you guys love Jordan.
LeBron's led in minutes for years. Last year, LeBron did something. He took big TV games off, and he got crushed. Let's not make it like up until last year, LeBron was just like casual LeBron. He led the NBA in minutes for like a decade.
He did.
And last year he said, I'm going to take some games
straight
off.
finals.
Yes.
Taking on the burden of playing 82 is a different discipline. I'm glad to see he's doing it.
Yes, so
I love it at this age. And, and I don't want to get into Jordan was primarily a perimeter player at 6'6", very thin. LeBron's a 6'9" monster to go. That's like comparing Wilt Chamberlain's field goal percentage. Wilt played closer to the basket.
Center, come on.
LeBron plays closer to the basket.
Shooting his best three-point season ever now.
I don't want to frame it like LeBron up to last year was takeoff game LeBron. It was pretty intense. I mean, go look at his number of games played. Last year he would clearly.
I didn't.
Strategic.